everybody. Good morning to you from what is a chilly Lexington, Kentucky. My name is Brandon Adams, and this is our Kroger Kickoff just outside Kroger Field, where Georgia will take on the Kentucky Wildcats coming up at noon today. So good to have all of you with us as we preview this over the course of the next couple of minutes, including taking your comments about everything that should go down between the Dawgs and the Cats here today. Obviously, for Georgia, there's a couple key storylines to pay attention to. The performance of Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett, who has been really in the crosshairs for a lot of Georgia fans after the loss to Alabama coming up a couple of weeks ago. He's looking to bounce back, play better today. This is obviously the final tune-up for the Dawgs before they take on Florida next week. And as we mentioned on Dog Nation Daily, presented by Kroger on Friday, that really you see almost opposite tracks right now for the Dawgs and the Gators ahead of the showdown for the SEC East next Saturday. For Georgia against Kentucky here in a Commonwealth Stadium in Kroger Field today, it's about proving that the offense has enough firepower to keep pace with the best teams in the country. Kentucky itself is not a high-powered offense, but Georgia wants to show some offense and show that it's ready for what's going to happen next Saturday in Jacksonville. Conversely, when Florida plays Missouri today, it'll be looking to show that it's got enough defense after its defense was torched in a loss to Texas A&M in the last game the Gators played a few weeks ago, what it really seems like a few months ago after a long layoff for the Florida team dealing with the coronavirus. It is cool enough for me, as you can see right now, that I've got a jacket on. I've got a pullover underneath that, 3 layers really. It is expected to be warmer in the high 50s by the time the game starts. The sun is out. It's going to be shining today. That'll warm things up a little bit, but this is the first time all year, and obviously the location has something to do with that. We're far north of Athens, Georgia here, but for the first time all year that you really feel the need to kind of bundle up a little bit in the morning on a college football game day. You get some of that in Lexington, Kentucky today. A lot of games that Georgia has played here in this series have been cool ones, and today will be no different than that. Georgia, of course, has won 10 straight in the series against the Kentucky Wildcats and really has done very well from a point spread standpoint as well. Mark Stoops only covered the spread once since he's been Kentucky coach against Georgia, dating back to 2013. That cover came last year when Georgia won the game 21-0, but failed to cover as a 24-point favorite there in the game. So that's the scene here from just outside Kroger Field. We'll take a lot of your comments on both Facebook and YouTube. Then I want to get inside the stadium and give you a little bit of the sights and sounds from the pregame warm-up. We'll do a lot of that in the forum at forum.dognation.com. I'll also remind you that today, in addition to being October 31st, a date of a Georgia football game, is also Halloween as well. That means a lot of you settling in and getting stocked up for the big evening later on today. And don't forget, Kroger's got great savings for you on that. 30% off Halloween decorations and everything else that goes along with that, plus the candy as well. So if you need a last-minute run to get more candy because you've eaten all yours or whatever other reason, no judgments here on that front, you can stop by and check out your local Kroger. They've got 30% savings on Halloween stuff here on October 31st, so make sure you take advantage of that. We'll do some Facebook comments first. We'll do some YouTube comments after that. Then I'll let you get settled in for a fun day of football between Georgia and Kentucky. Barry Watkins says, "Go Dogs." He says, "I'm still mad at Kirby, but they're still my Dogs." And listen, I think Barry's point is probably a fairly honest one. There's some hurt feelings left over from what happened last Saturday against Alabama. And listen, for someone who talks for a living, sometimes this is hard to admit. But the honest truth is there are no words that can cure what happened and the feelings that conjured up for Georgia fans against the Crimson Tide. The only thing that makes it better is going out and playing a football game, getting a chance to go out there and do it against another opponent other than yourself after 2 weeks worth of practice. So for Georgia fans who are still in a little bit of a bad mood after the game against Kentucky a couple of weeks ago, I totally understand that. And today will be a day in which hopefully UGA can make themselves feel better about that. Good to see Kathy Aquavia Green checking in on today's program. James Leonard Brown talking about the difference in some of the COVID policies here. That's the other thing that you got to keep in mind for Georgia is thus far it has sailed through this season. Listen, knock on wood, where I don't have any wood near me right now, but whatever wood you want to knock on to make sure that continues to happen. Georgia's handled this well thus far, whereas Trevor Lawrence has now tested positive. Florida has dealt with a long series of missed practices because of their number of positive tests, and obviously the weird situation involving Wisconsin and obviously Nebraska impacted by that too because their game was canceled for today. So, yeah, certainly Georgia has done well with this thus far. Chad Buchanan said Kendall Milton's going to get off for 115 yards. That's one of the things I think a lot of folks are really excited about today as one of the teams is showing up here just outside of Kroger Field. That's one of the things that that a lot of Georgia fans are excited to see that very impressive yards per carry number that Milton's put up this year. They want to see more from him because of it. Well, that looks like the Kentucky team arriving there a moment ago. But they want to see more from Kendall Milton in that front. And, today is a chance to do that. Georgia's always going to use a group of running backs. It's not going to be one running back that gets the majority of the carries. Georgia did that for the most part last year with DeAndre Swift. That was really the outlier season in regards to what Kirby Smart had made the trends in 2016, 2017, 2018 of using multiple running backs. So Georgia will continue, I believe, to use multiple running backs this year. But obviously, Kendall Milton's making his case to be one of the backs that gets used even more there. Kathy also mentioning that we're going to see Joey Gatewood has in him today. They're going after the secondary. Yeah, obviously one of the things that you keep in mind about Gatewood, in addition to what he might try to do throwing the football, that's something that Kentucky's seeking some improvement on. But obviously he's a threat to run. It's a very different challenge for the Georgia defense than what Alabama provided, where they're explosive, can hit you a lot of different ways. This is a little bit more about, can Kentucky offensive coordinator Eddie Gran be creative in terms of how he uses Gatewood and finding some clever ways to use his legs. That's obviously one of the real, I would say, few offensive weapons that Kentucky has at its disposal, that ability to get it done with the legs, but that's what Gatewood's going to try to do today. A little bit more here live from Lexington. John White checking in. John, great to see you. Thanks for being here with us today. John 40 checking in and say, go Dogs beat Kentucky. That sounds like a good idea to me all the way around. Jan Armistead says she hopes that they put the Kentucky line on their butts today. A lot of Georgia fans are hoping for the same thing there. Garrett Stone asking about Tyreek Stevens, and obviously it wasn't a great day for anybody in the Georgia secondary against the Crimson Tide, and with some lingering questions about DJ Daniels' health, and obviously it's a chance for a lot of guys to bounce back and play better here today. Chad Buchanan's calling for Azeez Ojulari to have 4 sacks. That'd be a fun thing to see. You love the idea of that. Let me pop over and get a couple of YouTube comments. Here's a part of our Kroger Kickoff live from Lexington, Kentucky. Commonwealth Stadium, Kroger Field is just right over there to my right. Beautiful day here, a little chilly, but the sun is out. It's going to be warmer by the time the game kicks off. Obviously, don't forget, we will be back with you after the game as part of our Dog Nation post-game show presented by the UGA Bookstore. Normally, that's Terrence Edwards joining me through the magic of video. Today, Terrence is taking care of some football business, and in his place will be Dog Nation's Jeff Sintel. So we'll look forward to having Jeff for that here coming up in a little bit. Over here on YouTube, Bank 6 says, let the big dogs eat today. A lot of Georgia fans are excited about the possibility of that. Marilyn Dean cheering on. I guess this must be Nakobe's a grandmother. That's a cool thing to say. She says going to be watching and cheering from a distance. The baddest linebacker of all time. Yeah, listen, a lot of Georgia fans, you should know Miss Dean love Nakobe, and they're ready to see him do some big, big things as he has been all season long and throughout his Georgia career. Seeing that continue again today, that's a lot of fun to think. Miss Dean, thank you so much for checking in on today's show. VTW pointing out something kind of interesting that VTW says we had our annual loss in the regular season. It's time to get better and play our best from here on. It is really amazing if you want to go back and look at starting in 2017, how much the pattern seems to repeat itself. Georgia had the bad performance against Auburn in 2017, was very strong after that, including winning a rematch against those same Tigers in the SEC championship game. In 2018, one of the worst performances of the Kirby Smart era happened in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, when Georgia lost by 20 points as a 7-point favorite against the Tigers. Georgia bounces back from that, wins the next game against Florida, went on to win the SEC East, and really made a strong case for itself as one of the 4 best teams in the country there that year. People remember the ugly loss to South Carolina. From a point spread standpoint, one of the bigger upsets of the Kirby Smart era for Georgia, I guess, probably also the biggest, and yet Georgia also bounced back from that as well. It was slow footing for a while, but Georgia righted itself in time to beat Florida, won the SEC East, went on to qualify for the Sugar Bowl, and won that game against Baylor. So we have seen Georgia bounce back from a loss, deal with some adversity during the season, grow from that. Is today right there in the stadium where that starts against the Wildcats? Obviously, that's one of the things a lot of Georgia fans are very curious to get a chance to see. Houston Evans asking about Keely Ringo. No, Ringo is out for the year dealing with an injury. That's a guy that Georgia fans will look forward to seeing in 2021 in a year where there'll be a lot of turnover and changeover when it comes to the Georgia secondary. Ringo could be a big part of that starting in 2021. Michael Porter checking in to say good morning. Good to see all of you. He says he got Georgia on his mind today. Glad to see that. Bionic says, do you like the press box or the sideline view? Bionic, I'll be very honest with you. Some press boxes are great. I hate to be this way, but some of them really are. The Georgia press box, for instance, is really about the best seat in the entire stadium. It's also open air, so you can hear the things that the fans are saying. You just sort of feel the energy and the enthusiasm. There are a lot of press boxes, like, for instance, the one in Jacksonville with the Georgia-Florida game, and a lot of the newer press boxes in the SEC that are glass enclosed. You really can't hear much cheering. It's a little bit like watching the game from a hotel room. It just does not have the same vibe. The rest of the reporters love that because they don't want to be distracted by the fans. I'd rather be kind of in the mix and in the atmosphere. So this is my first time being in Lexington. I'm not quite sure what their setup is like, but typically speaking, I like a press box situation if it's an open air and you can really experience the atmosphere inside the stadium. It can be a great experience, I have to admit. All right, a couple more here on this cold, sunny day in Lexington, Kentucky. Jay Bolton says, how long can we give Kirby to finally wake up? And I know there's some impatience after what happened against Alabama. Hopefully what the Dawgs do on the field today cures a lot of that. That's all you can really hope for right now. Jay Lee, 22, wants to get George Pickens involved. That's another thing that a lot of Georgia fans will be thinking a lot about. How do you get Pickens more involved in what goes down? How do you find a way to get him more targets? He's caught 2 touchdowns this year, so he's still been a part of the Georgia offense, and I would say he remains Georgia's most dynamic offensive weapon right now. But a lot of Georgia fans do want to see him get the ball more, and Jay Lee's comment certainly speaks to that. Cold enough now that I wish I had a little bit of glove on, but it will be warmer later on. Marilyn Dean also thinking about the quarterback situation. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. Let me pop back over to Facebook here for a couple of minutes, and we'll see what's going on over there, over here on the on that side of things. So a few more comments. We'll get ready to go. Here's part of our Kroger Kickoff. Don't forget to get stocked up for your Halloween candy there at Kroger or your game watching party. It's one of those days where it starts early with Georgia football, kind of rolls into Halloween after that. And so a lot of folks having a good time doing a lot of different things. Let's take a couple more of your comments on Facebook before we get ready to get out of here. Francisco Hurtado, looking forward to seeing Todd Monken open up the offense today. Yeah, boy, I hope to see that too. Chad Williams predicting more than 40 points scored. That'd be a fun thing to be able to see as well. Thomas Kilpatrick on the subject of Kentucky putting those hands up the line of scrimmage. That was a big issue against Alabama. Georgia had 5 deflected passes. We've heard Trey Hill and others say, though, that it's the job of the offensive line to keep the defensive line from doing that. John Stinchcomb, the former UG All-American, was with us on Dog Nation Daily. He said that, well, listen, when the defensive lineman's got his hands up, going to get that punch right there into the chest or maybe a little lower in the breadbasket, really kind of reminding him not to do that next time. Epic Robinson said, did I fly or drive? I drove. When I can drive, that's what I typically like to do. It's really a beautiful drive. It's not a hard drive either. By the time you get north of Knoxville, you're essentially already here. And it's beautiful, beautiful. Cumberland Mountains, gorgeous. Those limestone, beds that you kind of drive through as you cross over the Kentucky line. Some really cool topography, a really fun drive. But I'm also the kind of person that does kind of like to drive a little bit. Let's get a couple more. Miriam Martin Corbin says that Sanford Stadium is the Taj Mahal of SEC stadiums. Kentucky has a nice stadium. Yeah, listen, Georgia fans are very lucky. No matter what part of Sanford Stadium you get to enjoy, it is certainly a great place to watch some football, and we'll look forward to being back there. Still a couple of weeks away, but back in Athens again here very soon. Robert Hosea says they need to let Kendall Milton and James Cook eat, and Cook needs to line up more at wide receiver. So we'll see how that's going on. Kathy Aquavia Green says it's gorgeous around Lexington. Yeah, it's a beautiful area for sure, no doubt about that. Mitchell Shiver, we're looking back on his one time getting a chance to come to Lexington. Yeah, there's some good memories for Georgia in this series. I'll invite you to check out our Dog Nation Happy Hour show from Thursday, where I kind of reminisced about some of that with John Stinchcomb. There's a link to that up at dognation.com right now. You can check a lot more of that out. All right, so we're getting ready to wrap up our Kroger Kickoff for now. I will see you after the game for our Dog Nation post-game show presented by the UGA Bookstore. Jeff Sintel stepping in as a special guest for us on that today. I'll still be here from Kroger Field in Lexington, getting ready for all that and talking to you after the game. Looking forward to doing that Dog Nation post-game show right here on the Dog Nation video channels immediately after the game. Can't wait to be able to do that with you. I'll also be busy in the forum today. forum.dognation.com. Mike Griffith will have you on video at halftime for a couple of minutes. He'll also have the live blog going at dognation.com. So all across the Dog Nation platforms, on the website, dognation.com, the forum at forum.dognation.com, Dog Nation video channels at halftime, and then back after the game for our Dog Nation post-game show presented by the UGA Bookstore. Thank you so much for allowing us to provide you coverage of Georgia, Kentucky today. Enjoy the Halloween later on, but let's watch the Dogs take care of some business first.